I think you guys should do this here. I think that there's enough excitement in this room that you know that this is a good thing that you can do for yourself, put out an open invitation to everybody else who wants to participate in this form of self-governance. That's beautiful. You know, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. You know what my dad told me when I was young? He said, if you don't, what did he say? He said, oh, control. He said, if you don't control yourself, somebody else will control you. Ooh, that's profound. That makes self-control a good thing because it eliminates other people's control. And so you know what we're doing in Fairbanks? We're exercising self-control as a culture. We are cultivating, we are growing up a culture of self-control and self-sufficiency and self-reliance. And that's good. And you know what that'll do? That'll make us able to look at those storm clouds on the horizon and be okay with it. And you know what? I've had too many years of looking at those storm clouds and getting an ulcer. But I don't see those as an ulcer anymore. I see that as something that will bring a springtime for freedom. I see all these horrible things. How many of you get the, oh my gosh, emails? You won't believe this. How many of you get those emails? I know more than that. You get those emails. I get them all the time. This next horrible thing is happening. When I read those, it's fine. You know, let them pick their path. That's a totally different mindset. It's set us free. Our culture is changing, and I want you guys to experience that too because it's beautiful. Now, there's a couple things that you've got to understand in your heart if that's to work, and then I'll finish up with these. You've got to put right and wrong above legal and illegal. Because when tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. And it is not rebellion at all. It is submission to the higher law that our government is in rebellion to. We're not the rebels. They're the rebels. And when you stand alone and you do what's right, you might get some flack from the folks that are doing wrong. But you know what? We have to have a cause greater than self-preservation. We have to. And if we don't put some skin in the game, and if we don't reckon with those dark challenges like I talked about earlier, we'll be a dark page on history. But I don't think we're going to be a dark page on history. I think we're going to be a bright page on history. And let me talk just super brief about some baby boomer values. Pick on baby boomers. Present company excluded, because if this was you, you wouldn't be here. But this is something that characterized the baby boomer culture. It started in the 60s. With the whole idea that everything is relative, that nothing can be known for sure, that we don't know anything is for sure, and then once you believe that lie, that nothing can be known for sure, the inescapable conclusion is that everything is meaningless. If nothing is for sure, everything is meaningless. And once everything is meaningless and nothing has any real true value in and of itself, you're left with two absolutely horrible values and the inescapable conclusion that the only things that are worthwhile in this life are personal peace and affluency. And these two values have characterized the American culture since the 60s. Affluency, meaning that the abundance of things. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a capitalist, I think that's great. That's what we were commissioned to do. But when that is your primary and your only focus and success is measured purely by your accumulation of things, that is bad news. That's affluency. And then let me talk about the real linchpin. And I'm sure that all of you guys have run up against this. And you need to recognize what you're running into when you run into this with other people. And that is personal peace. Personal peace means I want to be left alone. I do not want to be disturbed for any reason by anyone, regardless of what that means for my children or my children's children. Here's when you will see that despicable value rear its head. When you try to talk to somebody about these ideas, when you try to talk to somebody about the way that our government is headed, and they fiercely defend their ignorance. Have you had that happen? They fiercely defend their ignorance. What they are doing is they are protecting their personal peace. I do not want to be disturbed by anyone for any reason. It's time for those values to go away. And if everybody in this room makes a decision in their heart to drop those values and to have a cause greater than self-preservation and to have something that they can believe in and to leave something that their children can be proud of, you know, that might be scary, but you know what's even more scary is the thought of laying on my deathbed and handing my sword to my son, a sword that never saw blood, and saying, son, you go do what I never was able to even look at. And it's way worse now, son. That is horrifying to me. You know what else is horrifying to me? The thought of standing before my Creator, my God, and looking Hashem in the eyes and saying, I bowed the knee to Caesar. I kissed the ring to get by. And I turned my back on right and wrong that you put into spin. And I bowed the knee. That is horrifying. That makes the 3 o'clock knock and ATF and IRS and all those guys a little less scary. It puts them in perspective. We need to have those be our values. And so I would leave you with this. A mission and a calling. To do these 5 things. Actually, I'm not even going to tell you the 5 things. Well, I will. But it's not the mission and the calling. If you like them, do them. If you don't, that's fine. I don't like being bossed around. I won't boss you around. Sign the declaration. Set up a Liberty Bell system. Start a militia. Get a common law court going. And discover your leaders. Who's going to be the leaders? Who's going to be the leaders here? You've got to discover them. You know, there's a challenge to be met, and there's going to be folks. I think there's going to be folks in this room that rise up to be heroes and seize the day. And you need to identify those people in your midst. You need to support them. You need to look after them, and you need to cultivate that because that is what we need. That is what freedom needs. Now, here's the mission that I'll leave you with. We don't need to gun down the beast. Liberty always wins because tyranny self-destructs. What we need to do, and here's the mission, and I want you guys all to strongly consider this being your mission, is that we need to guard the seeds of liberty. We need to guard the precious gems of freedom that are recognized in our founding documents. We need to take those seeds of liberty and we need to protect those through this fiery shakeout of the natural consequences of the irresponsible actions of our run-amok government. We need to shelter and guard those seeds of liberty and carry those through the flame and through the fire to the other side and plant those in the fertile soil when the smoke clears so that there can be hope for a brighter day after the devastating consequences of the horrible rebellion that our government has given to us. Let's be characterized by what we love and work towards that and let what we hate run its own natural course. That's my appeal, and I know that you will seize the day. Thank you.